What's going on, preppers? Welcome back to the channel. Economic Prepper here. Hope that you guys are doing very well today. I want to share some information with you guys that I think is critical information, and it needs a little bit more awareness. And it looks like about 3.5 million people could be potentially wiped out fairly quickly if they're not ready for what's coming down the pipeline. We've had a lot of things hit us recently: empty shelves, food shortages, droughts, labor shortages. I don't know if you guys had caught the accident that took place in Miami. I think it was South Florida just yesterday or day before yesterday. There was a plane that had basically crash landed in a Miami, I think it was Miami International Airport, and it caught fire and everything. And this reminded me of a video a couple videos back that I released, and we were talking about these pilot shortages. Yeah, shortages of all kinds: food shortages, pilot shortages, chip shortages. There was actually a shortage that just happened that's affecting the Toyota production of vehicles that literally just came out. We'll go into that in a future video. But anyway, these shortages are crazy, and they're not going to stop anytime soon. In fact, I do anticipate that things will get worse in terms of our supply chain. Shortages of not so much the raw materials, but the shortages of the final products, many of which are coming out of China going forward. But there was a plane crash that took place. I don't think anyone died. There were some injuries, but thankfully no one died. But you know, this kind of goes back to one of my previous videos where I was talking about how, you know, these corporations, these massive corporations, billion-dollar companies, billion-dollar corporations, they're all about their profits. And over the past couple of years, some industries got hit really hard while other industries made billions of dollars. Case in point, the oil and gas industry, you know, they lost a lot of money a couple of years ago as a result of a lack of demand. You know, everyone was stuck in the house, so there was a drastic reduction in the consumption of diesel fuel and gas. More of a reduction in the unleaded gas than the diesel fuel. But so now these oil and gas companies, they're trying to make up for lost times. And if we look at some of the other industries that got hit incredibly hard, if we look at the hospitality and travel industry, you know, hotels, cruise lines, airline companies, they all got hit really hard. So they're trying to make up, they're trying to regain profitability, and it's hitting us in our pockets, hitting us in our wallets. And I was reading an article, I shared it with you guys a couple videos back, and basically a lot of these airlines are starting to look at ways to cut back on their expenses. And their expenses, you know, largely is going to come from employees, labor overhead. So in order to reduce their labor overhead before, they let go a lot of pilots, which created a pilot shortage as we're experiencing today. But now that they're trying to hire people back, the people that they're hiring back, they're looking to hire them back with like half the training. Do you want to hop on an airplane with somebody who got half the training? So according to what I read, it was like, you know, pilots are supposed to get like 1,500 hours of training, and they're looking to see if they can get approval to hire pilots with only 750 hours of training instead. And they're also looking to pay them a whole lot less money. So that's scary. And not 2 or 3 days after I had released that video, this tragic event took place where there was this you know, airplane that crashed in Miami International Airport. So that was really scary. But check this out: Walmart is offering truckers a starting salary between $95,000 to $110,000 a year as the retailers scramble to shore up the supply chain capabilities, right? So they're talking about the empty shelves that we were seeing quite a bit of several months back. I'm personally, where I live, I'm not seeing a whole lot of empty shelves where I live. I do get some of you guys messaging me, showing me what you guys are seeing where you're at. I did watch, I forget what prepper channel I had seen this on, but basically they were explaining it in such a way where it's kind of like, okay, these corporations, they'll take resources from rural communities where it's being produced, and they'll, you know, distribute these resources, whether it's food for the shelves at your grocery stores, or it's, items in your Target, whether it's your Walmart, whatever the case is. A lot of these goods, they come in, maybe they're manufactured, or they're coming in and they're hitting the distribution stores or distribution sites in rural areas, and they're being distributed to the more, I don't know, higher velocity stores. Let's just put it like that, because their whole goal is to maximize profitability and to get as much product sold as possible. And if rural stores are not producing to the extent of higher volume stores, maybe in more affluent areas, then it's kind of like the rural areas are, they're getting the short end of the stick. Maybe there's not enough supply to go around. And of course, rural areas would be first to be impacted by that. But apparently, Walmart is attempting to counteract that. And you guys, let me know in the comments down below if you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. But Walmart is they're raising their starting salaries for truck drivers in its private fleet. Previously, the average starting salary for these truck drivers was $87,500. And the company is increasing that number to $95,000 to $110,000 a year. Now, these it looks like these are Walmart truck drivers. Now, I don't know if this is independent independent operator truckers. I believe that they would actually make more than if you actually work for Walmart. But if I got any truckers in the audience right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that the truckers that are owner operated, that was the term I was trying to think of, would likely make more money not being an employee to Walmart. But you guys let me know in the comments down below. Now, keep in mind, Walmart is just like any other corporation. Their fiduciary responsibility is to the shareholder, and their goal is profitability. Now, with ever increasing expenses, one of their key expenses that they want to cap is employee overhead, right? When you have an employee, you have employee benefits, their paycheck, of course, all sorts of insurances, vacation time, sick time that you have to account for as an employer. And these are all expenses that create a drain on the profitability of these corporations. It says here, Walmart is shifting its pay structure so that its drivers can earn up to $110,000 in their first year with the retailer, as it strives to shore up its logistics capabilities with new investments. Now, at the beginning of this video, I did tell you how, we're expecting 3.5 million people to be potentially wiped out. And with these higher overhead expenses, this is creating even more and more desire for these corporations to put a cap on these expenses in the form of capping how much these employees are making. They don't want to continuously pay employees more and more money. That's taken away from their profit margin. It's taken away from their bottom line. But at the same time, we can't have empty shelves situations occurring within the Walmarts, within our grocery stores. So they have to have these products continuously distributed. Well, in order to ultimately attempt to cap this ever-increasing employee overhead, self-driving trucks could be on Texas highways by 2023. And it says here that this is a favorable regulatory environment, is encouraging autonomous vehicles companies to accelerate in Texas. And so it goes on to say that the self-driving trucks could be on Texas highways as early as 2023 due to a lax autonomous vehicle regulation in the Lone Star State. The Texas Department of Transportation is taking a collaborative approach with the budding industry, which has brought self-driving semi-truck companies like Aurora and Too Simple to the state. But not everyone is happily along for the ride. Safety advocates are suspicious, claiming it's too soon to deploy autonomous trucks on public roads. Now, we've already seen a number of different autonomous cars on the roads. Me personally, I haven't been in one, and I can't say that I've actually seen one in person, but I've seen a lot of different YouTube videos showing, somebody sitting in the passenger seat of a car that's being driven by, no one. It's an autonomously driven vehicle, or maybe someone is sitting in a Tesla, for example, and it's in autonomous drive mode, and they're literally not really even paying attention to what's going on behind the wheel, and the car is driving itself. So I haven't seen this happen in person. I've only seen videos. Let me know if you guys have seen any of this going on the roads in person. I just haven't seen it yet, but I know that they exist. But here's the thing. Texas, they're expecting to have these semi trucks hitting the road coming as early as 2023, and they're incentivizing these autonomous vehicle companies to come to Texas and bring that technology there, right? It says here, a few autonomous vehicle companies plan to deploy these robot truckers in Texas without any backup drivers next year. So this is scary because, I've seen these autonomous cars on the road, but there's always a person in there. They're trying to roll out these autonomous semi-trucks, self-driving trucks with, and I'm not a trucker, so I don't even know the weights, but I've seen some of those weigh station, you see those weigh stations on the highway, and I'm assuming some of these trucks are, good 20,000 pounds rolling down the highway. Me personally, I don't want to be in my little Toyota Corolla and get rear-ended or potentially T-boned by a semi-truck that's weighing 20,000 pounds. I don't have a chance. So, I'm hoping that there's a lot more to the story rather than just giving these autonomous truck or autonomous semi-truck companies free reign to test their driverless semi-trucks on the road. I hope there's a whole lot more to this story than what I'm reading here. It says here that the autonomous vehicle bill lets companies test and deploy self-driving trucks without requiring special registration, third-party data sharing, or additional insurance. So the more I'm looking into this, the scarier this is getting, right? So they're going to allow these companies to deploy self-driving trucks without requiring special registration. So there's, one line of defense already knocked out, right? Then it says that, third-party data sharing or additional information is also not going to be required. So I'm a little concerned about this because, it's rare that I listen to the radio, but whenever I listen to the radio, I hear like all these annoying radio commercials talking about, hey, if you're in a wreck, call this number, call this attorney, you know how annoying those are, right? But one of the more annoying ones that I hear is they're talking about if you've ever been hit specifically by a semi-truck. And these ambulance chaser attorneys, and if I happen to offend anybody who's out there who happens to be one of those ambulance chasing attorneys, oh well. But anyway, apparently that's a big thing. Apparently that's a common instance because some of these attorneys are literally creating their entire marketing plans on servicing people who have been hit by a semi-truck. And when you look at how many semi-trucks are on the road and how many millions of miles they accumulate per year collectively, there's quite a presence, right? So to have autonomous semi-trucks on the road and not even require additional insurance, that's scary. I'm just gonna leave that there. You guys let me know what you guys are thinking. I think that if you're gonna bring this driverless truck on the road, you might want to bump up those insurance coverages. I'm just saying. It says here that the Texas DOT has essentially said that as long as autonomous vehicles obey traffic laws, they are free to operate in the state. In turn, that could make Texas the future home for the industry, which Reuters says could generate between $250 and $400 billion by 2030. So again, guys, it's always about the money. It's all about the profits. It's all about boosting earnings for these companies that are, whether they're a publicly traded company on the stock market, whether they're a privately held company. But, I don't know if you guys realize it, but there's over 3.5 million people who work as truck drivers, at least according to the census.gov. So that seems like a pretty reputable source, right? So you got 3.5 million truck drivers an occupation dominated by men who hold more than 90% of truck driving jobs. Driving large tractor trailers or delivery trucks is one of the largest occupations in the United States. So, well, what did we see over the last, 24 to 36 months? We've seen a pandemic come up out the blue and literally just shut down our economy, crashed the stock market. We've rebounded, and it looks like we're headed back into another crash with the stock market. We've seen a housing market boom to the extent that we've never seen before. We've seen shortages on a wide scale that we've never seen before, at least I've not seen before in my lifetime. Baby formula shortages, gas shortages, diesel fuel shortages, or at least they're claiming that we're going to have diesel shortages on the East Coast. I don't know if I've seen that materialize, but that was anticipated, and it's still an evolving story, so it could certainly still materialize. Food shortages, going to the grocery store, toilet paper shortages. We've just seen so much going on here, right? And so with 3.5 million truckers potentially being replaced by autonomous driving semi-trucks, that is a massive number of owner operator or even employees that could potentially be completely wiped out as a result of these autonomous driving trucks. And I don't expect this to happen overnight, but they're saying that they're going to get the first autonomous trucks rolling out starting 2023. That's only 6 months from now, guys. So I'm not saying panic if I'm a truck driver. I'm not saying panic if I'm married to a truck driver and that represents 100% of our household income. Or the thing is we need to pay attention to the writing on the wall. This is why we prep. This is why we prepare. We're not weirdos by prepping. It's like, just because, and it's funny because some people think, oh, well, you're just some weird prepper, and they think you got a couple screws missing. Maybe you rock a foil hat, right? And it's not that. It's just that just because they don't warn you about these things showing up, they don't warn you on the news about what's going to come, they don't tell you everything in the news, doesn't mean that you're a whack job because you happen to have your own ability to think. You guys are smart, right? So, we're aware of what's going on in our environment, and we take proactive steps to move ourselves and our families out of harm's way. And so when we see big moves like this, you can see the writing on the wall. It's just like, what I was talking about in a previous video with many of these banks shutting down bank branches, right? So, I saw the writing on the wall years ago. When I was a kid, I used to think, oh man, if I worked in a bank, I could make so much money because that's where all the money's at, right? Well, wrong. Bank tellers don't make any money, not compared to the CEO of the bank, not compared to, a freaking high level salesperson. Like there were so many other high paying jobs that paid more than a teller, and I didn't realize that, but I was just a kid, right? But then moving forward, I started to see less and less, fewer and fewer bank tellers, right? To a point where, basically all your banking is done online. It's done through an ATM, if you even use an ATM, right? So I got a feeling like not only are the bank branches shutting down because they're evolving into this new economy, and we talked about the central bank digital currency that they're trying to roll out in a hurry as soon as 2023. I saw something from Jerome Powell the other day about that. You guys can check my previous video because they're pushing that we could be moving toward a cashless society faster than expected. We talked about, payphones. There used to be a payphone everywhere, grocery store, movie theater, malls, you name it. There's no more payphones. It went from only rich people had cell phones to now everybody and their kids have cell phones, right? This is just evolution. And so, as we start to see more and more of these signs, we have to prepare and prep and make sure that we're in good position so that we don't feel the wrath that these, mega billion billion-dollar corporations and owners who are dictating and pulling the strings. We want to make sure that we're in the best position possible so that we can survive, so that we can sustain. So anyway, I just wanted to share this information with you guys. This is just a forever evolving situation. If you got any value out of the video, drop a like for me. I totally appreciate that. If you enjoyed the content, consider subscribing to the channel. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Prep now.